All right, I think it's Wednesday. I don't even know anymore. My whole life is in this truck going to help motherfuckers. But I think it's Wednesday. And to start out, I got to say thank you to my mate Luke down there in Australia, who sent me some parts that I had needed for a project, but he also sent me some Tim Tams, which I'm actually quite stoked on the Tim Tams because I really like those. So I got home last night at like 11. And that's what I had for dinner was some Tim Tams after some trash I had at the gas station because, you know, like this kind of bullshit, like meats and cheeses, because they don't have anything and there's nobody there. They were out of fuel. It was quite a bum out. And drove and did some stupid shit that I should have done later, and got home at 11, had some Tim Tams, and fucking love those. So thank you, Luke. Then our Canadian Canucks upstairs are just the classiest way possible, just pounding the New World Order in its mouth, dude. Right down its throat, dude. Just hogging that bitch out. But they're doing it with class. They're doing it the Canuck way. If you're in Australia and you're behind the electronic Berlin Wall and you haven't heard, the latest is, well, one of the latest things, there are many developments. There's also the police are trying to seize all the resources to run them out of there, so they're trying to go after the fuel. They're trying to go after anybody helping. So they made some stupid rule that you can't walk around with a gas can. And I saw videos of people's vehicles being towed because they had like slip tanks in the bed, which is like the fuel transfer tank that's in the back of the truck behind the cab with you know, the hose on it, and you fill up your equipment like your tractor or your whatever. Farmers being arrested and their vehicles towed for that shit. So to me, I'm like, okay, this is entering full-on authoritarian, like, freaky territory as far as the level of tyranny that is openly being displayed in Canada. So we see video of people being arrested for having fuel, people's fuel and propane being stolen that they were using to heat themselves. There's one of the base camps that the Canucks have established. They had a bunch of fuel stored, and it was dyed diesel fuel, which is only suitable for off-highway use. And they were using it not to drive trucks around and overthrow the government, but to stay warm in Canada in the winter. So the police came and took it. So one of the responses from the Canucks in their brilliant trolling way is everybody's walking around with gas cans that are empty, some of them full of water. I've heard some people are peeing in them and they're telling the cops, sorry, there's no bathrooms, I'm peeing in this, but you want to smell it and see if it's got diesel in it? I've heard that's one of the moves that they're doing. So this had to happen now. This whole thing had to happen in Canada. Couldn't happen in Australia. Couldn't happen here first. Had to happen in Canada because the way Canada is. And happening in the winter in Canada, I think probably also cuts down on the amount of like dirtbags that are willing to go out and provocateur some shit at 3 in the morning when it's minus 30 below zero. You know, your paid agitators are probably going to be like, fuck that. Whereas, you know, if Americans tried to do that shit first, we're all going to convoy to D.C. with our barbecue pits and our AR-15s. The government's just going to be like, okay, you impeded traffic in D.C., overthrowing the government, off with their head. Like, they've got that gun. Even though we physically have a bunch of guns here, they have the fact that we have guns is a gun to our head. Any move we make at all, if the Americans made the first move, it would be, oh, well, they're trying to because you saw, okay, you guys ran into the Capitol and pooped on the desk, so you're trying to that's overthrowing the United States government because we were busy voting. As if there is no continuity of government plans, as if the United States government would have just ceased to exist on January 6th if enough people had pooped on the desk. You know what I'm saying? It's a joke. But it had to happen in Canada because Canadians, Canucks, are not running around with guns everywhere. You know, they're sensible, nice, good people, and you have backed them into a corner, so they're like, all right, let's go, you know? And Trudeau can't fucking hang, and I love it. And our mates down under are really partying. And not to toot my own horn here, but that's also been banned in Canada, if you hadn't heard. They passed some retarded law that you can't honk a horn for 10 days. So all the Canadians are just walking around going, honk, honk! Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, they're feeding the trolls in real time. It's brilliant. Government policy is feeding the trolls. But our mates down under, holy fuck, dude. And not to toot my own horn, why I said that, but months ago, last year, well into last year, I made a video where I said, Aussies just need to start partying. And it sounded stupid, but at the time, I said, you guys just need to block party. Like, everybody out in the streets, woo! Fucking doing burnouts in your Commodore, or your fucking, Falcon, and fucking drinking your VBs, and fucking eating your Vegemite, whatever y'all, shrimps on the fucking Barbie, mate. That's what y'all need to do everywhere. All the things that you weren't allowed to do. Go outside, have a good time, see your friends, hug your fucking mom and dad. Fuck, you know what I mean? Just all the shit you weren't allowed to do. You all need to just start doing it. It's civil disobedience. And now y'all are. And Freedom Camp's amazing. And I watched Simeon Boykoff, Aussie Cossacks videos, driving around in Freedom Camp, and them going to the parliament with the common law fucking demands and all that shit. And, you know, I love it. Because, sure, no, they're not going to give up because Captain Hood went in there and made demands. But historically, we are to the point where that has happened. The citizens are having to go into parliament and hand a list of demands to the government. So that has happened. It doesn't matter that they're just going to ignore it because of their fucking hubris and because they're tyrants. Of course they are. But now the whole world has seen it happen. So to me, that's the victory. Just like in Canada, everything the fucking government does is a PR disaster. We're going to go steal all their fuel and take their funding and then brag about it. Ha ha ha, in our Zoom meeting. We're going to brag about it in our Zoom meeting and say these people are fucking terrorists and it's a nationwide insurrection of madness. And I'm like, as an American watching this down here, I'm like, you motherfuckers, the same liberal pieces of shit that control all these cities over here literally let communists occupy whole blocks of cities and do whatever they want. And I'm not even saying it was a bad thing, but you're trying to tell me this is not the same? I mean, I have my opinion on it, but for the sake of this video, Chop Chaz, hey man, they said it was a summer of love, an experiment in democracy. Cool. Let's see what happens when a bunch of communists take over and set everything on fire and kill people. Maybe it's a good thing, right? You can't criticize that. But now they're trying to tell you that it's different now. The fucking Canadians are like up there, you know, feeding more homeless, are being fed than they were. And that's not a propaganda piece, that's just net homeless being fed has increased. Picking up all the trash and shit. Like, I'm sorry, but from a marketing point of view, it's very hard to demonize what's going on up there. So these cocksuckers in the government were going to cut off their funding. They shut down the GoFundMe thing. If you hadn't heard about that, down in the electronic Berlin Wall area. They seized the funding. They bragged about seizing the funding, and then the short version of the story is next week, a new company that's a Christian company that's not going to back down. It's like, hey, everybody's raised another fucking $6 million. So they can't turn off the fire hose of money. They can't turn off the fire hose of fuel being, you know, like I heard from Tire Roaster's Garage, Kevin Earsman said it in a live stream. He's the guy that drives Black Bomber 69, freight shaker moneymaker. Looks like it's an FLD 120. It's a badass truck. I've been watching all their videos. But anyway, he said somebody donated like $1.5 million Canadian dollars worth of fuel. So I think it came out to like 200-something thousand gallons of fuel that are being brought to the border thing at Coutts, Alberta, and then into Ottawa. I don't know how logistically how they're doing it. I mean, obviously it would be on tanker trailers. That's a lot of fucking trucks, but whatever. I mean, this is historic. There probably really is 200,000 gallons of diesel fuel in, tanker trucks. Each truck probably holds what, about seven and some change or something. There probably is, dude. I mean, they've literally pushed the whole country off the fucking to the edge. There probably really are that many truckers. Like they say 50,000 trucks. I mean, there's probably, I don't even know how many owner-operators there are in Canada, but it's probably not more than that. I mean, it's probably right at, like, pretty much everybody's probably there. I believe it. It's good. I don't know why that same thing's not recreated in Australia, though, with the trucks. I know there's lots of trucks, but it may be that geographically they're all just spread out too much, and, like, I don't know why it didn't work. I wanted it to work. We all wanted it to work. The trucking protest, I thought was going to be, but they had such air superiority with the media that even it probably did happen in some places, way more than we would ever know. But how would you ever know? But anyway, we're running out of memory, so trying to go into the Wednesday upbeat so I can stay awake and work. I am tired of working. If anyone else wants to come work, you can stay at my house. You can use my truck. Just fuck, we need mechanics. But whatever, we'll be fine. Thanks for watching. I have some new subscribers. Rock on. Thanks to Luke for the Tim Tams, mate.